Hello everyone, it's Inque here, and we're back with Star Trek Armada 3. And this time, we're playing the Klingons. So, Klingons, what are Klingons about? Well, let's get our baseline stuff going, and then we can start to talk about that. Okay, so we've got severe research up, and just to queue up some barrels. So the Klingons are very front-loaded. You get a lot of firepower out of the gate. You get some pretty aggressive research. If we take a look here, your very first weapons research, you maxed out, which realistically speaking doesn't cost that much, is going to get you a 40% rate of fire boost to your pulse disruptors. That's pretty massive. Your basic ships, the barrels, are kind of fragile. That is definitely less health than you get on a saber, and the damage looks like it's less, but if you remember from Sacrifice of Angels, and particularly the Romulan episode, these numbers can be a little deceptive at times, and it's definitely the case here. These guys fire off 3 waves of pulse disruptors and a photon torpedo, and they have to reload for several seconds, so they have a lot of front-loaded damage. And that only gets, with the severe rate of fire boosts which you get for the pulse disruptors, these guys get pretty scary. Let's see, we have our heroes. Let's just make sure that those are not auto-casting. Lovely. Battle Station Tug, so let's drop down our free starbase and get our fleet together. So, this is the basic Klingon capital ship, the Ravenous class. Basically an oversized Katenga in a way. So it's got some similarities to some of the old school, like Starfleet Command era Klingon battleships. But not massively tough. It's definitely got less health than the comparable Ambassador. But she's got a fair amount of damage output. She's got the pulse disruptors, the torpedoes, the beam disruptors. And we've got colonized, we've got elite engineers, so you've got the ability to repair your own hull, like a hull equivalent to the Ambassador's shield repairs. You've got command ship, which is a nice little buffing aura. And then you have cloak fleet, so you can tell your entire fleet to cloak up if you need to. So let's queue up some more barrels. Tell that to lock on to our main fleet, and take a look around. So we've got Artasia here, we've got a class 1 here. So what we're going to do is we're going to loop around these asteroids and keep going from there. We have detected a new planet. We've got another asteroid over here. Fun fact, this is actually the 3rd time I've tried to record this episode. This is giving me real trouble for some reason. But, okay, so we've got civil research. We're going to load up a tactical research to follow this, so we can start getting some basic weapons tech going.
You honor my house.
Good, more barrels coming out.
We have detected a new planet.
And we need to put autoplace back on, back off, because there we go. Yeah, actually I had to turn autoplace on because I had some oddly bugged planets. That's something which you do have to deal with sometimes in this particular mod. Oh, interesting. So we've got a Ferengi trade port, a reasonably rich asteroid belt here. Okay, so we're gonna have to fight 2 Decorers at some point. That'll be fun. But there are some Class M planets which spawn, which basically take up most of the gravity well. And it's massive, which plays merry hell with ship pathing, and it also messes with your ability to place structures. Like, if you try to place structures manually, it's just like, we don't have any room, what are you going on about? So you have to turn autoplace on in order to build anything, which doesn't always work out. It's kind of frustrating. But we've got stuff lined up nicely here, so let's take a quick look at our basic stuff. We don't want to get the Barrel gunnery training immediately. This is a pretty big buff to the Barrels. It's already pretty nasty, but this unlocks Crippling Shot. excuse me, I've got a real frog in my throat today. Which disables abilities
On my way.
on enemy frigates and cruisers, and also does a reasonable chunk of damage. So it's like an additional weapon, which also disables people's abilities. Now, if that actually worked on capital ships, then that would be truly broken. But as it is, it's just a nice little additional trick which you get. Now, the Borels, of course, also get these battle cloaks. So, like with the Klingons, you can, with the Romulans rather, you can say, I want to keep the ship intact, and just pulse the battle cloaks to stop people from shooting at them. So if you're willing to, if you have the time and space to micro a little bit, then you can keep your fleet alive a surprising amount of time, even given the fact that Klingon health is in general pretty low. Alright, so we've got that queued up. What else do we want? We should go ahead and get the basic disruptor pulse research, because it's pretty cheap and 13% is 13%. In terms of our economy, what's the economy look like? Well, here's a big thing. We get pretty massive boosts to our tritanium and dilithium right off the bat. Like, all of our tritanium boosts are right here on level 1. So I'm going to go ahead and start on that. 14% right off the bat. You max that out. It's a lot cheaper than it would be for some comparable research elsewhere. Dilithium, you have to work on a bit more, but it actually finishes higher. So you can get a lot going there. We've got trade ports, 2 civil research, and orbital refineries right there. So you can get a lot going pretty early on. It's not bad. Okay, this is... I'm not actually sure what this does, but let's go ahead and research it. It might be just fortification research, but I think it might help with all planetary upgrades. We will see. So we're going into colonize Melchior here. And once we've got that, then we can head over to Poseidon and claim that as well. We do have a small problem because we're going to need 3 civil research in order to colonize this place. Lovely, so I've got that come down. Just chain up all the usual stuff. And tell our fleet to move on to Poseidon. Alright, cool. Now, in terms of our stuff over here, we do want to get the Raptor escort tech, because it's an important predecessor to the Corelli strike carrier. So I'm going to go ahead and get the research, but it's highly unlikely I'm actually going to build any of them. And here's why. So, the basic Borel, 1300 hull, 1000 shields, 4 supply, 22 seconds to build. Here's the Raptor. It costs half as much, and it's just kind of terrible. The only good thing about it is that it builds really quickly. It doesn't get any swarm boosts like the Federation equivalents, or the Jem'Hadar bug ships. It's just builds fast, basically, which can be useful. It does have an innate boost, which I believe increases the fire rate of its disruptors. I'm going to go ahead and build one, actually, because why not? They're cheap. Well, we'll get a look at it. I can show you why I don't build these things. But yeah, you can see that the Borels came in. Got a fire sequence, and I mean they're turning around. But let's. This guy fired his weapons, moving through. Yeah. I mean I couldn't highlight a good example there, but the fire rate of the Borels is pretty low. Okay, so the big scary torpedo, that's crippling shot. There's a nice little reference, actually. The torpedoes which the Ravenous fires, and which I think a bunch of the heavier ships fire, are like these big glowing green pulses. which were the big scary weapons on the Vorcha class, which we saw mainly in the Klingon Civil War arc of Next Generation. Okay, so he just fired. And now he's firing again. So it's a pretty lengthy fire cycle. But it does mean that if you get a decent mob of Borels, you can do some serious alpha damage. Okay, we're just going to go ahead and set that to colonize, because these guys can't actually stop us from doing so. Okay, so civilian stuff. Okay, now that research did just help our strategic fortifications, but that's still handy. Okay, there goes all of our things. Going to get a civil research lab going here. Just trade some resources around a little. Get another one here. And that's our fleet set up. So, what's the situation? We're going to need to... let's see. So this is actually a really interesting map. It looks like we've got one main... Actually, we haven't explored this one, so we don't know what's here. But we've got a fairly obvious set of choke points. But there's also a massive amount of stuff which we can't actually colonize. Like, we're going to get a huge amount of mineral resources from these things. But we're going to have difficulty actually colonizing anything, so it's going to be exciting. Let's go ahead and head down to Qapla. Yeah, let's go to Qapla. And we actually have our Raptor has joined the fleet, so let's take a look. Where's our Raptor? Here we go. So Raptor class. To the death. It's got a boost to its damage output and its chance to hit, but it has a penalty to evasion. I believe that might not just be a flat passive. I think it might trigger under certain circumstances. Like, I think that might be a reaction to if it gets shot at. So they do have some interesting stuff going on, and they're not exactly short on pulse disruptor damage. But in general, I don't find much use for them. Well, let's look down here. We're going to need Tier 1 colonization. And at some point we're also going to need Tier 2 colonization. So let's queue that up as well, while we're thinking about it. There we go. Lovely. So we've got our 8 Borels, 1 Raptor, and the Ravenous. So the question is, what are these 2 locations here? Because if we've got to rely on a lot of uninhabitable zones in order to make up the bulk of our territory, then this is going to be a nightmare to defend. Let's go ahead and build some more scouts.
Station construction complete.
Just so we can work on trying to explore these territories. In the meantime, we've got some Breen to kill.
A battle has begun. Nukta and Pukta.
Okay, lovely. So there's our first one.
Yes.
You should go there.
On my way.
And then scout.
On my way.
And it's not going to take long to build a second one. 20 seconds. Yeah, the Raptors actually build quicker than the Nuktuj, which is kind of funny.
Go over there. On my way.
Are you actually going there? Okay, sure.
Lead to death.
So, how are we going? Cool. Let's see if we can get... So, we got hit by the brain dampening torpedoes. Brain ships are pretty nasty. Just try and focus fire on this trash car. Because they are kind of a pain. They do have the shield regen power. Yeah, it's gonna go down in pretty short order. Lovely. So, how are we doing? We do actually have tier 1 colonization now, so that is cool. We're going to need a second rank of titanium mining camps in order to unlock our trade ports. Let's go ahead and do that. It looks like we might need all the help we can get. Speaking of trade ports, let's see, we're going to want to grab the merchant facilities on this battle station as soon as we can, because this is actually a pretty significant amount of cash. So how are we doing? I've got the 2 Gortans. This one's about to go down. Lovely, and the Warmonger has actually ranked up, so let's go ahead and grab a command ship just immediately. As soon as it stops lagging out. There we go. Okay, so, command ship. It's going to provide a nice little... It's a small buff, but it's going to help. Okay, so we have eyes on something. Okay, so that's a pirate base. You should cloak up. And you should cloak up as well, because dying to pirates wouldn't be against the point of this exercise. The important question is this is this the only way through without going via the pirate base? Because that would be kind of funny. See down here we've actually run into our first Cardassians. They have a Taram-class scout, which is poking its nose around. Not much to be done about that. How's our fleet doing? We still haven't actually lost any ships. I think we lost a single barrel while we were killing Marquis over here, but doing pretty well so far. How are we doing overall? Got a pretty solid lead for the moment. Don't know how long that'll last. Okay, we have that planet taken. And we're going to head over to Artasia. Actually, no, we're going to clear out the Norscans here. I want to get a scout who can start claiming all of this stuff. And we're going to want to grab the basic upgrades here. Okay, cool. So
we have created a new weapon.
Star has the Star of Astaroth. Wow, okay, that's weird. Sorry, there's a whole plot arc in the Star Trek Online fleet, which I'm in. Yes, I roleplay in Star Trek Online. Deal with that. Where there's a ship called the Astaroth, which is doing stuff. Okay. So what do we have down here? We have a Class D planetoid. Okay. Oh, and we have a bunch of pirates coming through as well. That's lovely. We need to get our defense turrets up then, so K2 Lancer research. The Lancer is actually a pretty nice piece of kit. It's a lot more dangerous than the equivalent Federation turrets. It's got a lot more health and it has a lot more weapons. But it does also take up more space, so win some, lose some. Let's go ahead and drop the other one there. That'll provide a reasonable amount of coverage.
Station construction complete.
Okay, how are we doing? Main thing about Norscans is they do have a lot of damage over time effects, so which can hurt quite a lot. So that's something we've got to bear in mind. Okay, so what do we have down here? What is this planet?
detected a new planet.
Okay, so this is a Class D planetoid. We know that the Cardassians are here, or somewhere close by.
Yes.
Okay, this is a really interesting map. I'm not really sure what to make of it. Okay, their fleet has started to overtake me. Good, I was a little worried that they'd stalled out for some reason, but not today. Alright, let's keep working.
We have created a new weapon.
Yeah, they're moving through. Good, Lancer research is completed, so we should have that coming up pretty quickly. I'm going to grab a rank of logistical development, just to pump out another constructor. I'm not sure it'll actually come out in time to get both of these building at the same time, but it's going to help in the long run. So how are we doing? We have a heavy raider and a light raider to kill. Good, they're focusing all of their dots on the warmonger. Yeah, the Ravenous is taking a fair amount of damage, but we haven't actually lost any of our smaller ships, so this is good. Now, interesting thing about the Klingons is that you can get a lot of capital ships out pretty quickly. Let's go ahead and get elite engineers to get some repairs going, because of the way that their logistics go. So you've got your basic one gets you another one, 2, 3. Yeah, normally you've got to like get right to the end to start getting 3, but then we've got 2, 2, 1, 1, 1. So getting at the end, you're getting very little return for your investment. The Klingon fleet is good for getting a bunch of capital ships out early, but after that, it's really questionable whether it's actually worth the time. Wait, hold on. Where's my scout? There's the scout. Are you actually part of this fleet? No, you're not. You should go back here because you've got dilithium asteroids to claim. Let's just take a quick check. So I've got 14.4, 4.2, and 2.4. Okay. Just remind myself, did I actually get... Yes, I did get trade ports, so we can start getting those up and running. So here, we're going to need a logistical development, but then we can get a trade port. I'm going to sell a bit of trit. And then over here with our battle station, merchant facilities. Lovely. So over here we have a bunch of Bajorans to kill, who are amusingly enough just blowing the hell out of these pirates, so it's one less thing to worry about. I'm sorry, these aren't Bajorans, these are Talarians.
Station construction complete.
Well, either way, they're helping out, so we will reward them with a quick death.
Planetary research is complete.
Cool. And yeah, they've got a Tarim running around and doing things, so you can go ahead and start working on capturing all of that stuff. And we can get a trade port going here. Excellent. So, this is probably going to be the big one. Going to move around here and claim the trade port here, and this asteroid. Then we're going to really need to fortify this trade port heavily against pirate incursions. Probably going to drop a battle station of some kind here. Okay, so this is a dead-end chain. Got a Class D, a Class B, and then a Cerulean Nebula.
Station construction complete. We have detected
And they have this little branch around here. So they have an asteroid. This is actually their capital, so they don't seem to have got much done. I'm not sure what their problem is. They've got 5 military research labs. Okay, this could be their problem actually. That means they gonna have difficulty actually colonizing anywhere. They've got a couple of places they can grab, but they're gonna need some some civil research pretty soon. I'm not even sure how they managed to get 5 military research labs. That just sounds like the AI is cheating. But they have a bunch of ships going in. I'm going to have to be aware of that. I am ready. I guess we'll see. I imagine that they will probably work out a way to screw me sooner rather than later. This Burrell is taking a lot of damage, so we're going to cloak her up. Which actually helps a lot because it makes you invulnerable, which means that you lose your plasma burns. Yes, this makes perfect sense. What are you talking about? Okay, you are also burning, so I'm going to cloak you up. We've got a couple of Burrells who aren't actually contributing anything, they're just kind of hanging about. And you... whoa, you are taking a lot of damage. Oh god, I forgot the Talarian ships did this. They explode when you kill them. So I'm actually kind of short on ships. I have a bunch of Burrells which are just cloaked up and not doing anything. But you're part of a pirate fleet, so I don't actually care. We're going to go down here, we're going to colonize this place. I do need a second military research facility. I don't actually have anything of use here, so let's go ahead and get a tactical facility and a trade port. Lovely. Which means we can then work on getting battle fleet maintenance. And Kern, son of Moog. And then we're also going to need our next rank there. Cool, so that'll get us Kern, who's a pretty nice hero. He's inflicts some pretty nasty passive debuffs on people. And he also... let's see... cool, we're looking good there. He can also summon ships in. Let's go ahead and trade some resources around. There we go. Do all the things. Grab that as well. Okay, and then we're going to need to get our maintenance stock. Yeah, I'm not going to bother trading that around because it's going to be a little time before we actually have ships ready to do anything about that. There we go. So, drop a maintenance stock down there. And let's just look at our turrets in action. It's assuming that they can actually hit the things. I don't remember how far out the Norscans can get while still able to bombard stuff. So I might have slightly messed this up. I guess we'll find out. Okay.
Station construction.
So they're getting in pretty close. Come on, turn around. You know you want to. What about you? No, they're not in range. God damn it. Okay. In that case, we're not going to put that there. Gonna put that there.
Station construction complete.
I don't know if we're gonna get this up in time. These take 50 seconds to build. And... yeah, they just killed that. Okay, never mind. We need to get actual combat ships in.
Station construction complete.
Which means... what's... oh wait, we have another option. Or we would do if we had, like, just a little more supply, god damn it. Okay, we're gonna scuttle one of our Borels,
Self-destruct
because I need to get Kern in here now. So I can queue this up as well, but oh god, he's not actually finished researching. Okay, and yeah, they're gonna finish bombing this place out. There's nothing I can do about it. That is so annoying.
We have created a new weapon.
Okay, come on, Kern.
You do me a great.
Okay, and I'm gonna grab attack speed, which is a nice little buff for maximum speed, acceleration, and turn rate and evasion chance for not just him but everyone around him. It's a pretty nice ship overall. Interestingly, he's like the Defiant and the Federation tech tree, in that the base ship class, the Cavort, is actually just a basic cruiser. Yeah, fuck you. And now you move into range of my defense turrets. Of course you do. So you can see that the Cavort, he's got the 2 forward disrupt pulses, he's got his torpedo launcher, and then he's got a rear one as well. So he doesn't have a huge amount of weapons, but they do fire reasonably quickly. And there goes the other one. Yeah, screw you.
We have created a new
Okay.
weapon.
How are we doing? You guys... yeah, okay. I'm gonna go ahead and just grab a colony ship. So we're going to need to... we're gonna need that for an outpost at some point.
Annihilation of your enemies.
But Clan can move down there. And then our fleet is not looking great, but that's enough to take out these Marquis, and I will soon have some more ships available to me. So I'm going to go ahead and start work on Predator Siege Destroyer research, which are very similar to the Norway in a lot of ways. They're pretty tough, and they're reasonably tough. They have a lot of firepower. The main downside to them is that, like the Norway, they're a bit slow, and unlike the Norway, they don't have any kind of healing power. What are you guys doing? Where are you going? You're coming here. Okay. So I guess we're going to hang around here for a bit and build some turrets. Okay. Okay. And yeah, they'll be on the way now. Speaking of which, we should get neutral zone patrols. That'll get us our early warning systems. And we should start building some predators. I'm not going to get that many of them, because interestingly enough, these are a long way from my best option. I'll queue up 3 of them, but then after that, yeah, here they come.
A battle has begun.
So yeah, our Borels aren't in the best of shape, but we do have a couple of here. We do have Kern, giving them some fun buffs, and we do have our Ravenous shooting stuff to bits. Yeah, Predator research is done.
We have created a new weapon.
So, and we have our first turret up. We're going to have our second one up shortly. So let's go ahead and grab a military research lab, so we can start working on a really important ship, which is the Katinga. Now the Katinga, just remember, let's just zoom in a little bit so we can keep a vague eye on the battle. Yeah, we lost a Borel. Probably going to lose all of our Borels here, because this is a reasonably sized pirate fleet and our Borels aren't in the best of shape. But the Predator is reasonably expensive, over 600 credits. This is the Katinga. It's cheaper. it's tougher, it's faster, and it's only has slightly less firepower. Like, the Predator has slightly more pulse disruptor firepower, but I think it's just overall a better ship. Okay, so I've just got a Eurocentron, and our Nausicaan to the left. Yeah, that Cutlass is about to die. Lovely. How are our Predators doing? So the Predator's main trick is that it's got planetary terror. So it's very much a dedicated siege weapon. It can... Yeah, I mean, that's not horrible. That's faster than the Norway. The Norway's a real slug. But we're still better off with Katingas overall. So we're going to queue up some Katingas. We don't have that. We don't have the research yet, but we will relatively soon. Let's go ahead and get 4 Katingas on the way. They've started bombing because they're assholes, basically.
What is it now?
And we have our first Predator has arrived in system. You can see that this is cloaked up without me telling it to do anything. Yeah, this is kind of an attack run thing. Like, they have a passive engage battle cloak. I'm not super sure exactly how it works, but some ships will just decide to cloak up from time to time. I believe in theory it's meant to be when they're on a long trip, but they'll also do it if they're got a long attack run ahead of them. This guy decloaked, so it's kind of buggy, but in theory, they'll do it, and that'll give them a small attack buff, a little bit of damage boost, and a bit of a chance to hit. Which is basically, hey, look, I just attacked you. You weren't expecting that, were you? Okay, I refuse to lose this place as well. I just flat out refuse. Okay, we need to get civvy infrastructure here again. Another rank of logistical development. So I can get what I want. Let's get a tactical lab. Just keep working on our research there. So how are we doing? We're still in the lead for colonization, because if you recall, the Cardassians were actually a little limited in what they could do. Okay, so one of them's down, that's good, so we can just start focusing fire on this one. Hopefully kill it before it takes this planet out. If not, I'm going to be really annoyed. Okay. You can see our Predators have come into range. And yeah, they're doing a pretty sizable chunk of damage. Nausicaa's almost down. Yeah, we're good. Okay, so we should start looking at some damage upgrades. Let's go ahead and get the next rank on our disruptor rate of fires. Rate of fire, singular. And I want to get standardized parts at some point, but let's see, mirror side of the Predator's glowing more, yeah. Okay, let's have the Corral battleship, which is our first new actual capital ship, which are nice. I'll want to get those at some point, but for the immediate moment, we're going to work on a little bit of defensive stuff. Okay, so we've got 3 Predators, a Burrell, both for our capital ships, and we should have our, yeah, we've got our first Katinga on the way here. So Katinga's fancy trick is thruster control, so it gets to turn really quickly, which is a bigger deal than you might think, especially because it's actually an aura. You can tell your entire fleet to turn around rapidly. Meanwhile, over here, we should grab outpost deployment. So we can actually make use of this little colony frigate. And then our fleet's looking in pretty good shape, so we're going to head up here and start killing some Maquis. And then we should have all of our Katingas together in time to work on these Decorers. They're going to be our main threat.
Our fleet has arrived.
Okay, cool. So we're looking pretty good.
We have created a new weapon.
Blockade runner refit. Yeah, this is a cool thing. You can actually give your freighters more defenses. It's kind of weird and cool. We're going to want the orbital fleet command as well, because we're just going to need, like, particularly in places like this, where we just basically got screwed by the fact that our turrets didn't have enough range to kill anything. The range buffs which we'll get off this thing are going to be pretty important. So we've actually got a fair amount of spare resources, so let's drop this down. And yeah, pretty significant boost to shield restore rate, weapon range, and energy weapon cooldown, which is really nice for these, where you've got both the beam disruptors and the pulse disruptors. Yeah, we've got our Katingas on the way.
A battle has begun.
Let's go ahead and skip a couple more of them. Hard to go wrong with the Katinga.
Planetary research is complete.
Lovely. But like, in general, you find yourself running out of uses for the Saber. There comes a point where there's just no point in building them. You might as well just spam out some of the bigger and scarier ships. With the Klingons, you still kind of have a use for the Burrell, even in the late game, because they're cheap and you can get a lot of damage out of them. As well as them just being fast and being pretty decent raiders. So the Klingon fleet never exactly runs out of uses for any of its ships. Which again goes back to what I was saying about them being front-loaded in a way. So we've got the flak destroyer here. Let's take a quick look at our fleet overall. We actually have another rank available. So let's go ahead and grab command ship. So the flak destroyer, the Valkon class. So you can see it's actually even squishier than the Burrell. It takes longer to build, it uses a bit more supply. They've got fairly nasty pulse disruptors, but they're short-ranged. You basically get this if your enemy is using a lot of fighters of some kind. There's no particular reason to mob up on them anywhere, for any other reason. They do have a much quicker rate of fire because they are point defense vessels. But otherwise they're not a huge priority, I think. Now we also have the Qapla class, which is an artillery vessel, they're interesting. They're not that much more expensive than the Burrell, although they do use some dilithium. They're a bit tougher, but they've got really long range weapons, and they actually hit reasonably hard, so these provide some nice fire support, and I probably want to look at getting some at some point. Then if we look at our cruiser listing, we've got the Katinga, which is our cheap workhorse. They're not that much more expensive than the Burrell. The only thing is that, again, they use a bit of dilithium, and they use twice as much supply. Then we've got the Corelli, which is our carrier. Klingon carriers are Tech 2. You get them pretty early on. So let's go ahead and grab all of that, and grab a trade port. Lovely. And now we have some Ferengi to kill. I keep forgetting to actually get our fleet coordinated to do that, so that's the thing. We've arrived, and we have our lovely decorers. So we're going to have to deal with those.
Reinforcements have arrived.
Main scary thing about these guys is they've actually been taking some damage from the pirates, so that's fun. Let's focus fire on this one. One thing about Ferengi is that they can drop explosive mines, so we do have to be aware of that. And yeah, we just took a bunch of. Yeah, that was annoying. Yeah, there goes our lost Burrell, which is it's whatever. And yeah, that was a bunch of mines it just took. But this thing's lost its shields and its armor's going down pretty quickly. Our fleet is coming in for an attack run. And the second one has come into range and it's just dropped a bunch of mines. But first Decora has gone down. So that's... yeah, this is going to be a reasonably bloody battle, but we're actually going to kill that thing pretty quickly. We have a decent fleet at our disposal. Pirates, where are you going? You're going over here again. Of course you are. Why wouldn't you? Okay, need to grab tactical developments, and strategic fortifications. We need an orbital command citadel. And we're going to queue up some more defense turrets. And hopefully that'll deal with stuff, but if not, then whatever. Okay, Decora's going down. Lovely. And we just need to bomb this place out from the Ferengi who've taken it.
Enemy fleet has arrived.
Citadel.
Planetary research is complete.
Why is that not building? Okay, now it's building. I'm not sure what was going on there. Wait, are you... what are you doing? Are you going up here? Like, I'm really not sure what they're doing. We have a trade port, okay. We should get a couple of those. Grab a tactical development lab. Orbital command citadel. And that'll do for now. Rapier cruiser is doing its thing. What are you doing? Okay, yeah, you're curving back in. So, as I thought, they were just trying to get out of range of the defense turrets, which I'm not okay with. But the citadel was about to come up.
Another planet is ours.
Cool.
Get to work.
And this is deconstructing things.
Station construction complete.
Okay, so this place will soon be in our hands as well.
Research is complete.
I'm going to need to work a little bit harder here because this is going to be our bulwark against the pirates, is the thing. So let's move our scout up here so it can actually capture that trade port. We're going to want to drop our outpost here, so where's our thing? Okay, we don't actually have... no, we do have the research, we just didn't have the cash. That's a slightly different problem.
Let us get to work. It took us.
And we have a bunch of freighters which are just kind of not doing much. But they will die soon enough.
Planetary research is complete.
Okay, they're actually killing the maintenance stock, which I'm not okay with. But, that turret is nicely murdering that Eurocentral privateer. Main thing is... okay, so we've got that Lance turret down there building. They just keep spamming ships in, and it's rude. Okay, so... I think I might actually start, start trying to push the parts in their direction, because I do have a solid lead in Latinum. This place is available for capture now. Okay. And he's going in to do it. So that'll be nice. Free trade port is always good. There we go. Lovely. And now we need to start doing some stuff. Gonna grab those two. I want these strategic fortifications and tactical development. So then we get orbital command citadel. Gonna get a maintenance dock. I'll throw another turret back here just in case, and that should be pretty good for keeping people in order. And do we not have a I thought we had a trade port here. We should do. Oh, we don't have one here is the problem. Okay, yeah, that would explain that. So yeah, let's drop a trade port down there. These assholes are just moving out of range of the damn turrets, so you should move through to kill those guys. And then we can start moving to claim all of this neutral stuff, which will help buff up our income pretty nicely overall. We are lagging behind a bit on our fleet, so I'm a little worried about that. We're going to grab Lieutenant and Logistics 2. And then we want the Corral research, so we can start building some new capital ships. So let's take a look at the capital ships. So we have the Ravenous, which we know about. The Corral is a support vessel. It can give other people antimatter, but the main trick it does is it repairs things. The Vorcha is basically the frontline murder boat. I've got the Sukchak, which is an interesting one, which is a carrier and dedicated capture boat. I've got the Fakler, which is kind of a support vessel. And then we've got the Negvar, which is just the big monster. It has a lot of damage and it's really tough. But it is, of course, the capstone ship, so you get what you pay for. This is not in range of those guys, which annoys me. Do I need to get another tactical development level? Apparently I do.
Station construction complete.
Tekonki Coop, whatever that means. Okay, so you're building, lovely. Trade port's done. So yeah, I've got a nice long trade route at this point.
We have created a new weapon.
And our colony frigates is doing the thing. There we go. One outpost underway. And if you are familiar with Star Trek Armada and Star Trek Armada 2, you'll recognize that as the baseline Klingon starbase, which is a nice little reference. So what can we do with this one? We've got all the usual stuff. We've got beam weapon, we've got weapon upgrades, defense overhaul, hangars, merchant facilities. And then up here we have Iron Will, which is actually a culture booster. And then we've got our set of abilities. We've got Veterans, which is a boost to the damage output. We've got the Chanas Battle Refit, which allows this thing to capture stuff, as well as the Storm Generator, which I believe is like a damage over time ability nuke. And then we've got the Ion Pulse device, which... Actually no, I believe the... I don't actually remember what the Storm Generator does. But the Ion Pulse device, this is a ability disable. So you've got a lot of nice stuff there. They're pretty tough. They've got a lot of options for murdering people. good. We dealt with those guys.
Let us get
I'm gonna go ahead and just ring this place in defense turrets, just in case,
What is
because I
it
don't
now?
feel like... that's a Rassilak. Rassilak, I believe... I think the Rassilak is the basic frigate. I don't super remember, I have to admit. But, we have work to do, so... we have... yeah, we've got our Nuktage on the way. Got our fleet on the way over here, so we can start working on grabbing all of this. And then we're going to want to grab Sappho. It's going to be our next big thing. We're going to use that as a forward base to start building ships, so we can murder all of these guys. So we're doing pretty well so far. Let's take a look at our options. We don't actually have any facilities built here, so we should fix that. Let's go ahead and work on a tactical lab. And take a look down here at what we have available to us. So we can actually get the Vorcha battlecruiser research. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to grab ourselves a Vorcha. Just going to trade our resources around a little bit so we can mob up 2 capital ships.
Faster.
So we've got a Corral and a Vorcha. We also have Gowron down here, who I'm going to actually hold off on getting, because he's a nice hero, but he's much more useful when we're on the offensive against enemy players. Until then, he's just kind of eh. Gonna queue up some more Katingas,
Reinforcements have arrived.
but then we should take a look at what else we have available to us. So, we can get our Qapla, we have our carriers, and we have the flak frigates. Gonna need the carriers in order to progress down this tree at all. Then we have the L6 support cruiser, which is a repair vessel. It's like the Federation Constellation. Then we've got the Deathrite, which is a forward cruiser, and the Kvek, which is basically the capstone cruiser. Over here we've got the Vorcha refit, which is a boost to the Vorcha. And then finally up here we have the Cavort cloaking cruiser, which is the... it's basically the Defiant equivalent. And again, Negvar, and then General Chang refit. So there's a lot of stuff to just keep your ships. A lot of ships here are not necessarily going to be at their best when you get them immediately, but you have upgrades for them available. Yeah, that Rassilak is running around and making a nuisance of itself. Okay, here we have our Corral. So, call of battle, we can actually summon ships in using this. I think it's one of the few basic line capital ships which can actually summon in reinforcements. We've got Repair Swarm, which we're going to get immediately, because that's pretty nice. 35 hull per second in an area. But then we have Supercharged Injectors, which is like the Class 10 Warp Core for the Nebula and Phoenix. And Transfer Power, which costs us some antimatter, but gives a bunch to someone else. Which is kind of circumstantial, but I can see it having some uses. But let's see, that's a freighter, so we don't super care. So what can we do otherwise? We're lagging behind a little bit on our Civi research, so we should work on that. Let's go ahead and grab some dilithium mining camps.
A battle has begun.
Let's see. Forced migration.
We will drive them before us.
And that's service cost. Okay, so we've actually got some nice stuff going on here, so we should start working on some of these. Because this is actually a buff to all class 2s, which you only have one of, but that's still providing a reasonable amount of stuff for us. Oh, hello. We've run into the Ferengi? What am I talking about? And the Cardassians. So there goes their Nausicaan. And they have their Janissary over there, so... Let's see. Do you actually have a Nuktage? Ah, we've got a Vorcha. Let's take a look at the Vorcha. We've got Inspire Honor, which is a nice little pulsed aura, which boosts antimatter restore rate and hull restore rate. Got Grievous Insult, which is a taunt along with a self-heal. Glorious Charge, which spikes the damage output through the roof at the cost of a bunch of other stuff. And we've got Polaron Torpedo, which does a bunch of damage, inflicts a bunch of, disables a bunch of stuff on the enemy ship, which works on dreadnoughts and capital ships, so that's a big deal. So we've got some nice stuff here going on here, but let's go with Glorious Charge. Better front-loaded damage never hurt anyone. Aside from the enemy, of course. Queue up some more Katingas. And then, what do we want to do? We've got the Stalker up here, which is the anti-structure cruiser, so not super worried about that. But let's get the D3 and then the L6. So I don't think we're going to get a huge amount of use out of the carriers, but we should get a couple, because they're useful for capturing these extractors without having to worry about having Nuktage following us around. Okay, so the pirates have arrived, as predicted. So what are we going to do about it? They're moving around with their Nausicaans to try and get out of range, but we've got the place completely ringed by Lancer turrets, so that's not going to get them a huge amount. Reminds me, I do need to queue up my Corellis. There we go. Okay, so over here, tactical development. And we want to get another turret there. Because, yeah, you don't get to outflank me here. This place is not open for destruction. So we've got 5 turrets, that'll link everything up nicely. I'm going to sell off some dilithium so we can get beam weapon upgrades. This place can handle just basic parts for now, but these fleets are going to keep going up, so I'm going to have to be careful about that. This place, yeah, our turrets are opening fire, thanks to our lovely orbital command citadel. Oh yeah, and they've got Distress Call. I forgot about this. So you can actually summon in fleets, like with the Jem'Hadar defenses. You do need this upgrade up here, so that's a thing. Let's see, I do want Old War veterans, because having some abilities on your star bases is always nice. Yeah, you can shoot me all you like. This is not going to go well for you. Alrighty, so fleet is looking good. We should. How's our Corelli research going? We do actually have our Corelli research done, so that's something. Got our first one out of the shipyard. We're going to build some Thalars. Because they're pretty tough. They're actually not far off the Katinga. They do have less damage output, and their weapons are shorter ranged. But they're not really meant to be frontline cruisers, so that's okay. They fit into the fleet quite nicely at this level. Later on, they just really start falling behind some of the higher level ships, like the Kavek and the Deathrite. So that's something to bear in mind, but not super worried. Okay, so no, we don't want you to cloak up.
A new weapon.
That's just instinct. Like, hey, I've got my struck squadrons through. I should get the abilities. Except this thing doesn't have abilities. It's a Corelli carrier, not a capital ship.
We are Klingons.
Okay, yep, and there they go. They're all dead. Lovely. So this has its pulse disruptors now. I'm going to go ahead and grab merchant facilities, might as well. Yeah, our trade ports are doing work.
Honor my house.
Okay, so what we're doing over here, let's go ahead and grab the next rank of forced migration. And then, what's this? This is a... oh, this is just random nuktage hanging around. You should come over here and do your thing. Aha, and we have our first Thalar out.
You honor my
So let's take a look at the Thalar. What's this like? Well, I can see again, it's the old D7 hull, except it doesn't actually have the forward torpedo mount. This just has pulse disruptors and beam disruptors. But we have repair teams, which repairs hull and shields, which is important. And it also has tachyon pulse beacons, so it can scan for cloaked ships, which is not a problem against Cardassians, but it could be against, say, Romulans. Or another Klingon fleet. So, let's get a couple more Corellis. Trade that around and get a couple more Thalars. So we've got a decent support backbone for our fleet. But then we should take a look at what else we can do over here. So, I do want to get the last rank for fire rate boosts for our pulse disruptors. And yeah, you can see that our trade network is looking pretty healthy at this point. Okay, we have one extractor taken.
We have created a new weapon.
Yeah, you can start advancing.
We will drive them before us.
That nuktage can finish taking all of these extractors. So how are we doing overall? They're actually matching us to colonization, which means they've almost certainly taken all of this, possibly taken this one as well, so we might have to bomb this place out. Let's see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That means they have 7 places taken, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is possible. 6, 7 is more likely. So they could actually end up leading me. This place is going to be the key point. I've got a lead on them in fleet for the moment, and my economy is looking really strong. So we need to move in and murder this place.
A battle has begun.
Okay, we actually have some logistic slots available here, so I'm gonna go ahead and grab another tactical lab. And a civil research lab. So what can we do over here? I'm going to grab another rank of dilithium mining camps. And then at some point we're going to want to start working on dilithium gulags. So, because we'll need that in order to get the orbital refinery. There we go. Yeah, we need 2 points here. And that'll start getting us the cargo hold boosts. Okay.
Planetary research is complete.
Okay, and they have a Katinga somehow. I guess they must have stolen it from me, so, what the Janissary did, somehow or other. But we're definitely running into the borders of the Cardassian fleet, so we need to be a little bit careful. I'm thinking we'll probably want to drop a outpost here. So I'm going to queue up a colony frigate. Okay, yep, good.
annihilation of your
And we have one more asteroid belt to claim, and then we've got everything. Lovely. Okay. Get another rank of Gulag, and then the orbital refinery. Excellent. You can see we've actually got Antares freighters running around as well as our own Ursphas. The Antares get spawned by the Ferengi trade port. And thus they're a bit bigger, a bit tougher. And yeah, I've got more Thalars coming through. Good. Okay, so what else can we do? We can actually get the research for death rights at this point. But I think I'm actually going to hold out to grab the Qapla for some fire support. Get some more cheap ships. Just trade some resources around. There we go. 10 Qapla. And that actually uses up most of my fleet supplies, so that's going to be a pretty healthy fleet.
You do me a great.
And we have another rank on the Ravenous, so let's keep working on command ship. And you need to go claim this thing.
Go there.
So in total we have 11 Katinga, 3 Predator, a Ravenous, a Corral, a Vorcha, Kern, 4 Corelli, and 5 Thalar. That's not a bad fleet. Pirates just launched again, so we'll expect them imminently. Let's see.
Qapla. May all our missions be filled with glories.
That Thalar has taken a bit of punishment for whatever reason. But
All that is required.
wait, why?
of you is the
Oh, okay.
annihilation of your enemies.
Let's just tell it manually.
Enemy ships are on their way.
Yep, they're coming through there. So here's the next point. We can probably expect to run into some serious opposition. Or something resembling serious opposition, anyway.
We have created a new weapon.
Okay, so
Faster.
war traditions. Yep, we've got our Qapla. We want to get some better torpedoes, so grab the combat sensor research there.
A battle has begun.
And queue up Merchants of the Empire. Colony Frigates is
Can die but once.
moving through. This may turn out to be exciting, but I guess we will find out. Okay, so here we go, Qapla. Relentless Barrage. So this is a small debuff which it drops on people which it's shooting at. So that's fun. And yes, we've run into a Galore and 2 Janissaries, so focus fire. Let's kill that Janissary. What the hell did that do? Well, didn't do much. The Inquisitor is going to die horribly. Might see if we can capture this Galore. Okay, yeah, that's actually got the capture debuff on it, so... Or it did. Yeah, there it goes. He's dead. And that Janissary is also going to go down. Alrighty, cool. We are looking good. So we are going to trade some resources around and drop this outpost here. And I want my scout.
You honor my house.
Scout.
You honor my house.
Yes. On my
Oh boy, they're actually coming through the pirate base. I could do without that. You should cloak before you do anything stupid. And you should cloak too. Okay, cool. So that's under construction. Let's queue up some upgrades so we get a defense overhaul and a beam weapon loadout. Actually, no, I don't super care about that. I want the Iron Will. I want the culture. Then we're going to want this, so trade some resources around. Okay. That's culture resist, that's culture spread. Okay. So we can start working on that. So we can start getting the culture buffs and start just claiming this territory. This is mine. You no take. Okay, so fleet's looking pretty good. You are dying, so you should cloak up. And you should cloak up as well. Yeah, they'll be fine. Once they get into range of Artillars, then... And you should cloak up as well. Okay, but yeah, you can see that they have enemy culture coming through here, so... We'll have to deal with that imminently. And we have everything taken. Cool. So yeah, you should go ahead and find out what's the what. Cloak up, please. And you should cloak up as well, because I don't want you all to die to pirates, because I spent a bunch of resources on you, and that would be dumb. Okay, so we've got a bunch of civvy stuff going on. We have some torpedo boosts coming up, which is always good to hear. Siege command deck. Okay, so that's a boost to bombing range for everything. Let's work on the Feckler. Installation of advanced flak burst systems on death rights. Okay, so that's interesting. So these can be used to take out enemy fight squadrons. Oh, we want the Vorcha refit to give our Vorcha cruisers a little bit of a help.
We have created a new weapon.
Okay, that's on the way. It'll be done soon. You should decloak. Cares, you're done. You can disengage your cloak. And what the hell, you can disengage your cloak now as well, because you're out of range of everyone who might try to kill you. They've got a scout running through. He's not doing well. I have way too many Katingas. He is very dead. He's super dead. Okay, here we go. They have... You should cloak up. And I want you to find out what Sappho looks like, because that is going to be our next big point. They have a Keldon, they have a Galore. They've got two Keldons here, actually. They've captured a Condor.
We have created a new weapon.
They've got a colony ship. Okay. Yeah, there is nothing here which is particularly threatening. So, fleet is lining up. That's taking its sweet time to construct, but I think it's because I don't technically control this area, so that's the thing. Now, you've probably been noticing this down here. Yes, we're going for our dreadnought, because why the hell wouldn't we? Now, the Klingons are interesting because they have two different ones. The Feds get the Polaris and the... oh golly, the Excalibur, which gives you kind of a direct tool, and you've got a fleet support weapon. The Romulans just have the Scimitar, which is a brutal weapon of... a brutal terror weapon, essentially. It's really hard to kill, it's really hard to lock down, and it can nuke down planets really fast. But it doesn't do a great deal to support its fleet. It's just kind of there. If you wanted to, you probably could run it around just behind enemy lines, and they wouldn't be able to do much about it. They could just scare it off temporarily. The Borg had their progenitor, which is... It's ludicrous, and honestly, it's not that great. You're probably better off spending your resources on normal cubes. But it looks scary, and it does have some fun tricks that it can do in a fleet environment.
We have created a new weapon.
Okay, you should move along.
Faster.
No, that's water refit coming through. And we do actually want to move as a combined fleet this time, so don't do anything stupid, please. There we go. Decloak, please.
Honor my house. You honor my house.
Okay, and the fleet's on the move. The Dominion / Cardassians get a different dreadnought for each one. I kind of feel like once I've done the Federation, I'm actually going to do the Federation because I've shown you the Federation but I haven't done it in this sort of format. Not really, so that's a thing.
Station construction.
Oh, hello. Are you lining up to move out? No, you're not. You're just waiting to die. Okay, that's very nice of you, actually. Norn class. I didn't recognize the Norn class, so they're clearly going for the Union tech tree. But yeah, I'll probably do an actual Cardassian run through instead of just a Dominion one at some point. But as I was saying, the Cardassians and Dominion get different ones depending on which side they pick. The Klingons get two very different dreadnoughts. The Sword of Kahless is a conventional dreadnought. It goes out there and it kills things. And the Jakang is a suicide weapon. It doesn't have much in the way of health or defenses. What it does have is the Shockwave, which basically destroys everything in the system. So, yeah, Klingons have a really good way of busting defenses if they're willing to invest in it. Like, you think that your fleet is unstoppable? Allow me to persuade you otherwise. Okay, so we're working over that Keldon. Yeah, we're looking pretty good here. And we have a colony ship to murder as well. So what's this place look like? They've got a galore. And that's about it in terms of serious threats. I am unimpressed. How are we doing? Working on our culture. Good, good. You should get beam weapons. But yeah, let's see. So this is boost to bombing damage. Boost to damage output for something? I'm not sure what that is. That might be beams, but I'm not super sure. That's an acceleration boost for capital ships, and then that just finishes the thing. It's usually some sort of secondary boost to doing your dreadnought research. Here we go, let's move up here. Yeah, we're officially behind in colonization, but we're in the lead in kind of everything else, so these guys are... they're not going to do well out of this. And they sent a scout through. What fools. Okay. Fleet is moving into position. But yeah, we're going to occupy this place, and then we're going to get ourselves a dreadnought, is the bottom line. So we're going to need Lieutenant Commander and Logistics 3. And we have actually finished Vorcha refit now, so let's... where's our Vorcha? There it is. Nope, there it is. So you can see that that's actually given it an additional pulse disruptor weapon, and given it some additional defenses. There's another dead Vorcha, and now we have to kill some defense platforms. Do they have... No, they don't have a defense core, so not a massive problem. Actually, I have another rank on Kern, so what do we want to do? Let's go with Sharpshooter. Just make him that bit scarier at killing things. Or debuffing things, I guess I should say. You can go explore. Find things out. Go here. Yeah, they're just running scouts around. Not super worried. And parts are on the way. Okay, so bombardment commencing, and that'll be down in pretty short order. It's just a basic Class D asteroid. Their defenses don't get that big and scary. So, let's see, we have room for more stuff. So we're going to need 2 more tactical labs in order to get all of our Dreadnought research. So we can get one there.
We have created a new
and as soon as we do that, and we can grab that as well, because why not? We can do that there. Lovely. And we actually have some space here, so what do I want to do? Let's grab a propaganda station, why not? Okay, so that gets us everything. There we go. All of our Dreadnought research chained up. And we should get our heroes as well, so let's grab the research for those guys. That defense platform is dying horribly. I mean, it is doing some damage to us, but it's not doing enough damage. Yeah, Cardassian defenses are probably the meanest overall, especially if you get some command links for them. Yeah, you can see it with all the debuffs being thrown onto it by well, Kern among other things. They become a lot less scary. Lovely. Now, let's keep working on some attack damage. So we've got let's work on our disruptors a little bit. We should also get our torpedoes as well. Warspite torpedoes, lovely. Oh, did we lose a ship? I think we might have done. How rude. Yeah, I think we might have lost a Katenga. That's going down. That guy is getting worked over pretty nicely. All the torpedoes. Alrighty, cool. We still can't quite colonize here though. Yeah, this thing wouldn't help. They have a culture station right here. So as soon as this is done, let's queue up an attack on that. Lovely. Cool beans. Now you can see our Chook Bears just hanging back here, and see that they do technically have pulse disruptors, but they're sitting a long way back and just firing off chains of photon torpedoes. So they're not quite, they don't have all the fancy tricks of the Raptor and the Steam Runner, but they're still pretty nice ships overall. Just for getting some additional torpedoes in. How are we doing? Okay, no, we still can't quite get the culture down, so we can see that that's beginning to retreat, and the fact that we do actually have our own culture spreading here is going to help. So before too long, we'll be able to colonize this place. So how's stuff looking over here? That is decently well reinforced. They have a bunch of ships there. We still have a lead in our fleet though, and a very definite lead in our economy, so not super worried. We're gonna need some other research if we're gonna get all of our heroes and stuff out though, so let's do some more economic stuff. Anytime you're ready. Anytime at all. Speed it up a little. There we go. Excellent. So we are gonna need tactical development and logistical development, and the strategic fortifications, just for the hell of it. Because we're gonna need our warlord shipyard back here. We're going to want double basic shipyards and a capital shipyard. And I guess you can get these mines as well. So here we go, one warlord shipyard. Now we can finally take a look at our ships. So we've got the Jacang and the Sword of Kalis. And you can see here, the Jacang is actually more squishy than a Barrel. So yeah, that's a thing. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to build one of these just to show you how it works, and then we're going to get an actual Sword of Kalis, because yeah, the Jacang is a little silly. But I do want to see what it actually looks like in practice, because I remember them being my favorite trick to use back in Star Trek Armada 2. In the unpatched Star Trek Armada 1, in fact, they were the only weapon in the game which could kill a starbase with one hit. Like, everyone had their super weapons. The Klingons had the Shockwave, the Romulans had the Phoenix, which it does not show up in Armada 3. But it was basically, you send it into the middle of a fleet, and then it had an omnidirectional explosion, which murdered everything. The Borg had transwarp gates, which were kind of terrifying. Oh, hello. They actually have a fleet assembling here, so they might actually be trying to kill me. That's exciting.
We have created a new weapon.
And are you actually building things?
Planetary research.
I can't seem to be able to tell what you're actually building, and when, and where. This is distressing. Okay, fine, whatever.
Construction complete.
But yeah, and the Federation had the Temporal Research Lab, which kind of appears in the form of the Polaris in Star Trek Armada 3. But you just got a frozen area of space, and you got to go in and kill stuff. But the Jacang was unquestionably the best, because you could just send it in, and if the enemy didn't react to it fast enough, or if they were out of range, you could just trigger the shockwave, and this big solid wave of death came through, and suddenly they were short a fleet, and a shipyard, and like everything. Okay, so we're actually building like useful stuff now. It's amazing. I didn't know they were allowed to do that. And let's drop a... Actually, no, let's drop a maintenance dock. It's going to be more useful. That Hideki made a mistake. Yes, it did. And it left. Okay. So, we can start getting our heroes in. So, let's summon Gowron. So what's Gowron's deal, and why didn't I get him earlier? Well, he is a Vorcha, an upgraded Vorcha now. He does a lot of damage. You can see 167 pulse disruptor damage. Where's our baseline Vorcha? Here we go. Yeah, so he's bigger and scarier than the baseline Vorcha. But here's his thing. He's got Glorious Taunt, which is a nice area debuff. But Hail Gowron targets enemy planets. Raiding Party targets enemy planets. He is someone you bring in if you want to murder people. Or specifically murder enemy planets. So, what we're going to do is we're going to grab Glorious Taunt. We are going to trade some resources around and queue up our Jakang. And then we've got Martok as our final hero. And Martok's pretty cool. He hits pretty hard, he does a bunch of stuff. I'm a little worried about where they're going, so I'm gonna upgrade this thing a little bit more. Let's go another rank of defense overhaul and grab torpedo pods. Yeah, they're just sort of hanging out here. And they're not really sure what to do. They don't have a big enough fleet to actually take me on. I know this from all of this stuff. I have taken all of these worlds at this point. How are we doing? Okay, yeah. See, our Jakang is under construction. It's tiny and dinky and cute, and it will murder everything. Let's see. We actually have Martok, but the cooldown isn't done yet, so we'll have to wait on him for just a little bit. That uses 2 command, that uses 2 command. Okay, so yeah, we've got room for one more capital ship, so what do we want to do? We can get ourselves a Thekler. We can scrounge the resources to get the Negvar research. We can get a Sukjag. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to get a Thekler, because Theklers are fun. They were the science ship in Star Trek Armada 1 and 2. And they weren't quite as ridiculous as the Romulan Shadow, but they still had some nice tricks you could do. Ion Storm was pretty brutal. It basically just, you dropped it on top of an enemy fleet, or even worse, an enemy station, and it took a bunch of damage and started draining the crew. Couldn't actually kill a ship, but it could render it completely disabled. There was Polaron Torpedo.
Enemy ships are on their way.
Was it Polaron Torpedo? No, it's in fact the exact listing here. So you've got Battle Chant, which is a fleet buff, and Repulsion Wave, which is like, I don't want you to be here. You target a ship, and it sends it jetting away in the opposite direction and disables its engines. So if you really don't want to deal with like an enemy battleship, then you don't have to. Okay, our daggers are on the move. You do your thing. Kind of neat fighter designs. Daggers. Where's our Goroths? Here we go. And then we've got these guys who are just have their dinky little photons. Okay, how are we doing? That's on the way. Wait, did we actually... Yeah, we finished building the thing, so... Here we go. Broadsword. It's a nice design. I forget exactly where it's from, but you see it in a few different places. Let's grab Goroths. And then here we go. So, Battle Chant. Significant boost to energy weapon cooldown and ability cooldown rate. Ion Storm. So, a bunch of damage taken per second, a bunch of debuffs, a bunch of antimatter drain. Repulsion Wave. Knocks them away and does a bunch of damage to them, and we have Cloak Fleet, so it's not just the Ravenous which can do that. We're going to get Battle Chant, I think. It's a nice catch-all. But let's summon in Martok, so we have our final hero.
Bring us to bear.
And here we go.
Greyfall will be paved with their ashes.
Lovely. He was actually one of the main characters in Star Trek Armada 1 and 2, and he was pretty cool. But here we go. So this is like the classic weapon which the Negva had back in that game, the Ion Blast. It did a crap load of damage. It was still probably the least useful of the battleship special weapons, but it was still pretty nice. So, yeah, you can see right there, it just does a load of damage. I've got supercharged weapons, which is just, hey look, I want to be able to fire faster, and do more damage, and hit more. And that goes for everyone around me. And to the death. Which I'm not entirely sure what it does, to be honest, but I'm a little scared, so let's go with supercharged weapons.
Enemy ships are on their way. Be ready.
And yeah, that is our current situation. So what do we want to do with all of our resources? We should get cavorts, because cavorts are awesome. Let's go ahead and just do all the research so we can grab a bunch of all the ships. All the ships are fun. Well, let's queue up some stuff. So let's get a cavort, Kavek, and a Deathrite. Just so we can take a look at what they all do. How are you doing? Oh, hello. Somewhere in this fleet we have, below our Vorcha, here we go, we have our Jakang. Activate Shockwave. Let's take a look at the range on that. Yep. Look at the damage. Yep. Upgrades. So, it can move faster. It has a in-system warp, which temporarily disables the shockwave. You can make it a little bit tougher, and you can give it slightly more guns. And yeah, I've warp core modifications here. So that's a thing. I'm just going to go ahead and give it in-system warp and warp core modification.
Just a little further.
And we're just going to lock that in as Fleet 2. This guy wants to be his own fleet, because we don't want to have any kind of confusion there. You can see it's got an icon which is way in, which makes it look way bigger and scarier than it is, which kind of makes sense because, yeah. Let's just warp here.
This is our finest hour.
You see, that's put that on cooldown. How long is the ability to disable for? 25 seconds. So that's something to bear in mind.
Just a little further.
So, how about we blow up this fleet? That sounds fun.
Just show me where. If you wish.
The best thing is that we do have our turret extractor here, so we can actually get a look at what's going to happen. Here we come. Ready or not.
Our fleet has arrived.
We commit our souls to Stovacor.
So that didn't kill everything, but the fleet's looking kind of unhealthy.
For the Empire.
We should help them with that. And when I say help them, I mean put them out of their misery.
Just show me where.
Oh. Did we just get a thing? No we didn't. We're still working on Warspite torpedoes. So we won't get our new toys just for a little bit, but cool. And we should trade the resources around so we can get our Sword of Kalis. There we go. Interestingly enough, the Jakang gets more expensive each time you build it, apparently. Which makes sense, because otherwise you could just spam the things, and that would be terrible.
Let loose the dogs of war.
Here we go. there's Martok doing his thing. And yeah. See that once you get to a certain point in the game and you get a good fleet composition, you've just got so many buffs sitting on ships that it's kind of not even funny. But this is a very one-sided fight. They just took a shockwave, which took out most of their support. Most of their shields are gone. A bunch of their ships were basically just on fractional health. And they're gonna die. It's really that simple. I'm taking a bit of damage, but not enough to make it really worthwhile. Let's grab supercharge injectors so we can do more healing. Kern is actually taking some damage. We should get you attack speed. Where are my Thalars? Are you actually healing stuff like you should? Because I'm going to be disappointed in you if... Wow! Okay, so they put up enough of a fight that they actually killed Kern. I can't say I approve of this. Let's go Inspire Honor. So suddenly everything is getting way more antimatter and way more passive healing. Goldakat is slowly dying, as he should. Let's resummon Kern. Dang. Klingon's a weird language.
May all our missions be filled with glorious.
Okay, and you should go for Sharpshooter.
Let loose the dogs of war.
Okay, that's gone, and that's about to die as well. Excellent. Alrighty, so fleet is looking in good shape. Any fleet has arrived? Oh, it's just pirates. That's cheating.
We have created a new weapon.
I really don't approve of this. Okay, we're just gonna lose this planet. There's nothing we can do about it. Which is frustrating, but honestly, I don't care enough. Let's see, let's grab some Negvar research, because why not? The Chang refit at least will help Martok. Okay, but we do have our first new toys on the way. And how is our Sword of Kalis? Looking good. Okay, so fleets.
May all our missions be filled with glorious battles.
Fleet should get on the move. Where are all my Thalars? How many Thalars do I have currently? I've still got 4. Okay. I feel like I should make more, but one thing at a time. Let's head on to Amaru. Okay, so here we go. We have our first cavort. And you should move there.
We will drive them before us.
There we go. So what does the cavort do? So crippling shot. This has the same power as the Barrel, and it has Bastion Shield, which means that it takes way less damage while it's on the attack run. Which is kind of a big deal because they're not all that tough. I mean, they're scarier than the Katinga, which you'd hope because they're way higher level and decently more expensive. But yeah, they're not quite as tough as you might expect necessarily. Okay, and their fleet is moving to engage me. Let's just go ahead and Yeah, you can hear the battle chant going. I believe that's actually a sample from the DS9 episode, Soldiers of the Empire, which is actually great fun. You get to see what the average... Oh, good lord, what the hell are those things doing? I think that's like flak bursts to try and kill all of my fighters, but that was actually mildly terrifying. Alright, I have a rank on my Ravenous, so what do I want to do with that? Elite Engineers, make it better at healing. Or self-healing, I guess, technically. Got our Chook Bear, running around and doing things. Alright, so what do I want to prioritize? I honestly don't know enough about the Cardassian fleet to say, but we're chewing apart their support vessels pretty nicely. Let's focus fire on that thing there. Oh, Gul Madred. That would be a hero. Cool.
We seek honor.
Wait, did Gowron just fire off torpedoes from the rear arc? I did not know he could do that. Okay, we have our Deathrite incoming. So, Deathrites. By the description, they're mini Vorchas. But they have target engines. They remove antimatter by shooting at people, which can actually be brutal against some enemies. Imagine doing that against the Borg. And it has Flak Burst, which is just like, I don't want you to have fighters, so you're not going to have fighters. Let's just focus down these galores, and then we can deal with these turrets. I have a bunch of ranks actually, so let's see. We definitely want another rank on Repair Swarm, and you can get some Goroths. Hi, Gowron. Hail, Gowron.
Klingon High Council have decided to shoot you. Give me Ark. That which truly makes us Klingon.
Okay, let's grab Ion Storm on our Fickler. Martok
Will be paid.
can grab Ion Blast. And our Vorcha,
Will be ours.
let's go with another rank of Inspire Honor and a Goroth Squadron. So we actually captured an Asset class in there, that's amusing. Hello. The Deathwind has arrived. Okay, so we do have... and there's our lost toy, the Kavek class. To glory! Weapon cooldown, shield penetration, but its shields take a hit. I mean, that kind of sums up a lot of Klingon technology in general.
Will be paid.
You can see that our... dropped an Ion Storm there, but here comes the Sword of Kalis, which is kind of horrifying, actually. That is not a small ship by any definition. And it has a lot of guns, and it has a lot of carrier capacity, so let's go ahead and grab a bunch of Goroths and take a look at what this baby can do. So, Shockwave Torpedo. So, that does a bunch of damage in an area. Oh wow, just look. That's gorgeous. Look at all those cannons firing. Overwhelming Assault. There's a pretty massive self-buff. Bastion Shield. Frontal damage reduction. Wow, it's just flat out immune to damage from the front while it's using it, and it takes a bunch more. And it also improves the next ability it uses. And the Storm Fury Torpedo. Which is a bunch of damage per second taken. Yep, okay then. We want Bastion Shield. And I like Overwhelming Assault. So that place has been severely bombed to hell. And what do we want to grab? Ooh, hostile culture will soon overthrow this place. I don't like that.
Let us
That is still going down. Cardassians are on point with research, it seems. With culture research. Okay, well, it's a thing we'll have to deal with, but I honestly don't care all that much. Like, there's other stuff we can do. Yeah, this place has been taken out. They're steadily murdering what's left. You suck. Is the bottom line. But let's make a run for their capital. I think we have pretty much shown the Klingon fleet and how it functions. Let's finish this off. Yeah, that is a gorgeous ship actually, especially when it's firing.
Station construction.
Pulse disruptors, and photon torpedoes. Just like as an afterthought. But yeah, those are massive cannons. That's actually a little scary. You can see the torpedo pits up at the front, and then we'll be arriving shortly, and we can see exactly. We can try and analyze exactly which weapons are which. Try and find all of the cool guns on this thing.
Our fleet has arrived.
Okay, let's move to engage their fleet.
For the Empire.
That lasts 60 seconds with a cooldown of 160. Wow, okay then. The poor fools. They just have nothing left that can really fight us. Cool in all class. I remember really liking those in Star Trek Armada 2. I don't super remember what they did, but they were cool. Okay, yep, flak burst away. You have fun with that. Okay, yeah. You can see that it's got these basic things. It's got torpedo pits everywhere, and then it's got these massive cannons along the side. Bastion shield is engaged, which means that it has a frankly obscene amount of buffs on it. I've never actually seen any AI in this game, in Star Trek Armada 3, building a dreadnought. I'm not sure if it's just a thing about their AI or what, but yeah, I don't know. Kind of a shame, because I'd love to... Actually, no, that's a lie. I have seen the Federation building Excaliburs. So they can do it. They do have the power. They just don't do it all that often. Oh, hi, Gull. Hi, Gold Cat. You're gonna die horribly. But yeah, I think the Sword of Chaos might actually be my new favourite model in this mod, because watching this thing firing is just a thing of beauty. Of course, now I'm wondering how it would fare up against a scimitar. And I really don't know, because the scimitar is really hard to fight.
Avenge our honor.
Yeah. Okay, I'll stop looking at ship porn. I apologize. So, Yeah, I mean, this has been pretty one-sided. The Cardassians took a while to get started. I have had a decisive economic lead throughout, and what can you say? They were screwed a little bit by the map setup. I don't know how much of an effect that had in practice, but it definitely didn't help them. So yeah, next week we'll be looking at the Klingons and Sacrifice of Angels 2. And there will be more Supreme Commander. There'll be more Stellaris on Gribbler's channel, of course, and I'll be continuing with my Battlefleet Gothic. Once I've actually worked out what I'm going to do with it. I'm still not entirely sure, I must admit. There'll be more campaign for sure, and there may be another race. I may just give up and go run Tau, because they're less fiddly and they're less prone to just dying horribly. Okay. So yeah, until then, folks, stay safe.